Hello children, welcome to Nichal Smart Learning Solution. My name is Banala Jaya Raj, biology teacher, and today we are going to discuss about class 8 Nichal's integrated syllabus book, and that book is with 166 pages and also 12 chapters are there. And first chapter is what is science, and second chapter this one, that is the cell, the basic unit of life, and third one is story of microorganism 1, story of microorganism 2, next reproduction in animals, reaching the stage of adolescence, and biodiversity and conservation, different ecosystem, production of food from plants and production of food from animals, and next one is that is why do we fall ill, why do we fall ill, like that. There are 12 chapters are there, 12 chapters are there, and here you are observing the second chapter, that is cell, the basic unit of life, and here you see a beautiful diagram is there, and there you see the presence of nucleus and also cell organelles are there, and we will learn clearly. So what are the cell organelles that are present in a cell and what is a cell, so like that. So here you are observing here you are observing cell, the basic unit of life, page number 14, and here you see the cell, the basic unit of life, learning path is given, and page number 15 you see the presence of what chapter wise comparison is given, and this is an important that is page, and page number 16, children, here you are observing, so basic, the cell, the basic unit of life, the flow chart is there. So here in this chapter we are going to discuss about what is a cell and what are the different types of cells and what are different types of organisms. So that information we are going to discuss in this chapter, cell, the basic unit of life. So cell, so here cells are of two types. Cells are of two types, they are prokaryotic cell and also eukaryotic cells. Prokaryotic cell, and this cell is not having a nucleus, that is covered by nuclear membrane, and nucleoplasm is floating in the protoplasm, and membrane bound cell organelles are absent, example bacteria and also blue green algae. So there you see a microscopic single cell organism without a distinct nucleus and also a membrane or the nuclear membrane or other specialized cell organelles, example bacteria and also blue green algae. And next eukaryote. So eukaryotic cell is a cell, and that cell is consisting of a distinct nucleus and also it is covered by nuclear membrane, and other cell organelles also they are having what boundaries. So that is called, that cell is called as a eukaryotic cells, and eukaryotic cells generally we observe in case of single cell organelles like amoeba and paramecium, and multicellular organelles like plants and animals. So in case of plants, so we see cell membrane is present and cell wall is present, nucleus is present, cytoplasm is present, but whereas in case of animal cell, cell wall is absent. That is the main difference between plant cell and so animal cell. Here there is no cell wall and cell membrane is present and also nucleus is present and cytoplasm is present. So that is what that is the flow, that is pathway, that is the key concept, and also that is the flow chart. And now we need to discuss about introduction. So here you see introduction given first. So we need to understand about what is a cell. So our body is made up of cells. Cell is called as structural and functional unit of a living organism, units of living organism. So cell consisting of many cell organelles, and life processes are going on taking place in a cell. So that is the reason cell is called as a structural and functional units of living organism, and plants are also having cells and animals also having cells, and these cells are performing different functions we will learn in this chapter. So here you see cells are the basic units, and they are called as structural functional units of living things, and they are very small and they cannot seen with the help of naked eye. So we need a compound microscope, we need an electron microscope to see. So what cell organelles are there in a cell. So there you see all organelles are made up of cells. Multicellular organisms having more than one cell, and unicellular organisms are having only one cell. Example for unicellular organism, amoeba and paramecium. An example for multicellular organism, all animals are also plants. So they are having more cells. So they are called as multicellular organism. So knowing the structure of cells, the process they carry out is necessary to understand itself. So here discovery of cell. So Robert Hooke in the year 1665, there you see 1665. Robert Hooke in the year 1665, a British scientist, he observed a thin slice of cork under a microscope, an ordinary microscope, and he observed box-like compartments, and he observed what they look like honeycombs, honeycomb-like components he observed in a thin slice of cork, and he named it as a cell, and Hooke named the compartment as cells and recorded in his observation, that is called as micrographia. So here in this way Robert Hooke, first in the year 1665, a British scientist, he observed thin slice of cork under a microscope, and he found that honeycomb like compartments are present, and he named it as a cell. So in this way Robert Hooke discovered what a cell. And now we need to understand about here you are observing the presence of a microscope, and microscope is a device, and microscope is an instrument, scientific instrument, and that instrument is useful to observe minute organism and also cells. And Robert Hooke also observed cell, but that is not developed microscope, and here you are observing the presence of what compound microscope. It is a modified, that is the microscope that is used by the Robert Hooke. So here you are observing, and this microscope is useful to magnify, that is object images more than 1000 times, more than 1000 sound, and it is having what 50x, 100x and also 200x what capacity. So here it is having different types of lenses and different types of magnification. So that microscope is useful to magnify the specimen more than 1000 times. And electron microscope is also another one, and that is a highly sophisticated electron device, and that microscope is using that beams of electron which are bent by means of magnets, and this microscope is useful to use the light, and that is bent by means of glass lenses. So it is bending the light by means of glass lenses, but electron microscope is bending the light, that is group of beam of electron by means of magnets. So that is the difference between electron microscope and also compound microscope. Here children, here is a microscope and this is a compound microscope, and you are observing the structure of the microscope, and it is called as a eyepiece. This is called as eyepiece, and this is called as body tube. This is called as body tube. Here you observe the body tube, and this is a draw tube. This is draw tube, eyepiece, and also body tube. Again, this is the handle. So here you are observing the presence of a handle, and this is called as Coyer's adjustment, and this is called as fine adjustment. This is fine adjustment, and this is Coyer's adjustment, and this is revolving nose. This is called as revolving nose, and these are objective lenses. Objective lenses, eyepiece, draw tube, and body tube, and coarse adjustment, fine adjustment, revolving nose piece, and also objective lenses of different magnification, low and also high power. And you are observing this is the stage, and on the stage you see the pens of what stage clips. These are called stage clip, and this is handle, and I hold this that is the microscope. So at the region of handle, and this is foot, and this is base, and this is stage, and this is diaphragm, like that. So many parts are there in a compound microscope, and this compound microscope is having 50x, 100x, and 200x. Thereby this microscope magnifies the specimen to about 100 times. So in this way, this is a device, and this device is useful to magnify the microorganism and also cells more than 1000 times. So that is the use of microscope. Children, so I told you the parts of the microscope, and here electron microscope we can see in, that is the scientific research institute, but not in our libraries, in our laboratories. And now we need to move towards another page. There you see cell theory. Cell theory. M.J. Sleeden and Theodore Swan, they proposed cell theory. So what is cell theory? Cell theory is proposed by M.J. Sleeden and Swan. So cell theory explains us and giving an idea that all living organisms are made up of cells, and cell is called as a structural and functional unit of living organism, and cells are arising from pre-existing cells. So like that, there information that is given by Sleeden and Swan in their cell theory. So in their cell theory, they gave what? The information like that all organisms are made up of cells. Cells is the basic structural functional units of living organism. Pre-existing cells. So new cells are arising from pre-existing cell. Like that, this information is there in cell theory that is proposed by M.J. Sleeden and Theodore Swan. Who proposed cell theory? That is a question. So you need to write M.J. Sleeden and Theodore Swan, both of them proposed cell theory. And now you need to understand about shape and sizes of cells. So here, shape of the cell depend upon the function it is performing. So we have different organs, different tissues are there, and animals are having different organs and different tissues, and cells they group together form an organ, and organs also they group together form an organ system. So here cells are of different shape because of the type of the organ that is performing its own function. So our brain consists of nerve cells, neurons, and the neurons are branch cells and they are elongated. That is, the neuron is the longest cell that is present in living organism, and cells also present in other organs also. So there you see cells are present in the skin, and cells are present in kidneys, and cells are present in the heart, and also in different intestine, in throat and tongue. Like that, many organs are having cells, and these cells are of different shape. Some cells are circular in shape, and some cells are irregular in shape, and some cells are branched, and some cells are round. There you see cells can be irregular, round, spherical, elongated, pointed, and even branched. So here cell shape depend upon the organ which is performing its own function, and the shape of the cells also varies based on their age and function, pressure, internal skeleton, and also external skeleton. Right? Like that, you see shape of the cell is varying and it is changing from time to time. And amoeba is a protozoan, and that amoeba is having only one cell, and it is irregular in shape. It is not having a shape, and it is producing what pseudopodia, and pseudopodia are nothing but extension of the cytoplasm, and these pseudopodia are useful for locomotion also to capture the food. So that is about amoeba. And white blood cells are present in our blood, and white blood cells also irregular shape, and these blood cells also they also changing their shape from time to time. And neurons, I told you, so neurons are the nerve cells, and more than 100 billion what neurons are present in body, and these neurons are long cells, and they are branched, and red blood cells are round and flattened, and the red blood cells are useful to carry oxygen, and muscle cells which are spindle shape. So here in this concept we discuss, so what are the shapes and also size of the different cells which are present in living organism. So there you see, this is a red blood. A red blood cells are round and flattened, and red blood cells are red because of hemoglobin, that is iron pigment, and it is carrying oxygen. So that is the reason blood is red in color, and red blood cells are having hemoglobin, it contains of iron pigment, and it carries oxygen to different parts of the body. So that is the function of red blood cells, and red blood cells are round and flat. And here you see the amoeba. So amoeba is not having a shape, and amoeba belongs to the phylum Protozoa. And here you see that is protoplasm, cytoplasm is extended, and they form as false foot, and these are called as pseudopodia, and it is also having a nucleus and consists of cytoplasm and also food vacuole. Like that, these are the cell organelles that are present in amoeba. So amoeba move from one place to the another place by producing false food, and those false food are called as pseudopodia. And now you are observing WBC. So WBC full form is white blood cells or white blood corpuscles, and they are having nucleus, and these cells are not having a definite shape, and they are mainly helpful in defense mechanism in our body. And you are observing a long cell, and this elongated cell is branched, and it is having cell body and also axon, also nerve terminals, and also dendrites, and that is a neuron. And neuron is the longest cell that is present in living organism, especially human beings, also many animals. And you see the presence of what bone cells. So bone cells, they are present in bones, and they are called as osteocytes. And you see finally smooth muscle cell. So all these cells are not having same shape, and these cells are present in different organs and performing different function and having different shape and also size. So children, we discuss the shape of this cell and also size of the cell here. Now we need to move page number 19. There you see plant cells, they have a definite shape. Why? Because plant cell is having cell wall outside, and below the cell wall cell membrane is present, and cell membrane is enclosing other cell organelles and also cytoplasm, nucleus, also chloroplast, like that. Plastic, many cell organelles are bounded by means of cell membrane, and above the cell membrane cell wall is present, and cell wall is giving a definite shape to the plant cell, and it is giving what? Turgidity to the cell. Again you see the size of the cell may be as small as a millionth of a meter, so 0.1 to 0.5 micrometer, that is the smallest cell, and the smallest cell generally be observed in case of bacterium. So we can see this bacterium not with our eyes, not with our naked eyes, so they can be seen with the help of electron microscope only. So we discuss what is the smallest cell, and there you see we need to discuss about what is the largest cell. Ostrich egg cell is called as the largest cell. Egg itself is called as a cell, and that egg is about 15 centimeters to 20 centimeters in length. So what is the largest cell? Answer is ostrich egg. And what is the smallest cell? Answer is bacterium. And next, nerve cells, I told you they are elongated and they are branched and they are present in nervous system of living organism. And we need to understand about microscopic examination. So we need to do an activity, an experiment. So we need, so here you are observing presence of a onion, and take onion peel. So that is outer layer of the onion is called as the onion peel, and keep it on a slide. Add 1 drop of water and also methylene blue. There you see methylene blue, and after that you keep it under a microscope and you watch it, and you can see the presence of what darkly stained spherical structure that is present at the center, and that is nothing but nucleus, that is called as nucleus. And here I told you plant cells are having cell wall. So this is the cell wall, this is the cell wall, and this is cell wall. So it is a cell. So it is a cell. Like that you see cell wall is enclosing what? Cell membrane. So below the cell wall, cell membrane is present, and this cell membrane is enclosing other cell organelles. Again you see, you are observing what? Nucleus. Nucleus is present at the periphery of the cytoplasm in case of plant cell, and plant cells are having what? Vacuoles. We will learn later. So this is the structure we observed under a microscope. If you keep a onion peel on a slide, glass slide, and pour 1 drop of water and so methylene blue, and you can see the presence of darkly stained spherical structure that is present toward the periphery of the cytoplasm of onion cell, and that is nothing but nucleus. And now we need to do another activity, that is observing cheek cell, human cheek cell. Take a scrap from the inner side of the your cheek and keep it on a slide, at glass slide, and add 1 drop of water and some methylene blue, and there you see the presence of the structure. And human cell is animal cell. So we belong to the animals, mammalians. So we are not having cell wall. So here cell wall is present. This is the cell wall, and this is cell wall, and this is cell wall. But here there is no cell wall. Only cell membrane is present. Only cell membrane is present, and cell membrane is enclosing and guarding the remaining cell organelles which are present in the cell. So this is called as cytoplasm, and these are all the different types of what? Cells. And here you see this is the nucleus. So we are observing nucleus in a cheek cell, and we are observing that is cell membrane or plasma membrane, and we are observing cytoplasm. So here we observed the onion peel cell and also cheek cell. Onion peel cell is a plant cell, and onion peel cell contains cell wall, and cheek cell is not having cell wall. That is the difference between plant cell and animal cell. And in case of plant cell, nucleus is present toward the periphery of the cytoplasm near to the cell wall, that is plasma membrane. But in case of animal cell, the nucleus is present at the center of the cell. So these are the difference you are observing between a plant cell also animal cell. This is a plant cell, onion peel cell, and this is a animal cell. Here plant and animal cells are visible only under a microscope. Cells are not visible to our eyes. So they can be seen with the help of compound microscope. So this is a compound microscope. So under this microscope we can see the presence of plant cell also animal cell, but not with our naked eyes. So if you keep it on a slide, that is onion peel cell or cheek cell, adding water and also reagent, then only we can see the structures which are present in a cell. So this is the onion peel cell and this is cheek cell. Onion cell on observing onion peel under a microscope, and it consists of cell wall. I told you cell wall, this is cell wall, cell membrane, and this is the cell membrane. It is just present below the cell wall, and cytoplasm, this is the cytoplasm, and the nucleus. So this is the nucleus, and a large vacuole also present here in case of plant cell. But in case of animal cell, there are vacuoles are present, but where they are small, but they are not as large as we observed in case of plant cell. So that is the difference between plant cell and also animal cell. This is onion. Suppose if you take transfer section and you need to take what? Onion peel only, and here this is what a onion. So we discuss what is a plant cell and also what is animal cell. And now we need to move towards another page, that is page number 20. So here you see vacuole. So vacuole is a prominent structure. It is a cell organelle that is present both in plant and animal cell. But vacuole is large in case of plant cell, and vacuoles they may be absent, they may present in small structure in case of animal cells. And these vacuoles are generally useful to they are generally useful to store what wastes and containing water, and that is the function of vacuoles, and they are present only in plant cell and absent in animal cell. If they are present, they may be in small, that is shape in small structures. And now you need to understand about what is human chick cell. I told you this is the human chick cell, and if you take what scrap with using what a toothpick and keep it in your mouth, and you need to scrap it and take it on a slide and add 1 drop of water, and if you keep it under a microscope, and you can see the structure like this. This is human chick cell. And our human chick cell, our that is the animal cells, they are having nucleus at the center, and this is the cytoplasm, and this is one chick cell, and this is another chick cell. Like that you see under microscope we can see the chick cell, and these chick cells are not of same shape and size, and they are having different shapes and irregular shape. And at the center of the chick cell we can see the presence of dense that is cytoplasm with granules, and also we can see the presence of what nucleus at the center, and these are the structure we observed under a compound microscope. If you take the scrap from the inner side of the cheek and keep it under slide, and that structure we are observing. So we observed animal cell. This is called animal cell. And now you need to understand about types of organism. I told you based on the shape, based on the size, living organisms are broadly divided into unicellular and multicellular organisms. Unicellular organism, they consist of only one cell. For example, amoeba, example paramecium, and that cell is performing all life process. They performing reproduction, they performing digestion, and they performing transportation. So all life processes are performed by a single cell, and they are having only one cell, and those organisms are called as unicellular, and they belong to the phylum Protozoa, example amoeba and paramecium. And multicellular organism, they have more cells, hydra, and also planaria, human being, and sheep, and many animals are there, plants, and these are the organisms, they are having more cells, and millions of cells are present, and these cells are present, and thereby these animals are bigger in size, and these cells are performing all life process, and based on their shape, size, and based on the presence in different organs, they are performing different functions like reproduction and transportation, excretion, like that. Different organs are there, different organ system is there in multicellular organism, and they are performing different life process. So here, based on the number of cells, we categorize the living organism to two groups. They are unicellular and so multicellular. Unicellular example amoeba, paramecium. Multicellular example many plants and animals, like that. Animals means large animals. Now you need to understand about children. Here you are observing amoeba, again you are observing paramecium, again you are observing starfish. So this is starfish, this is starfish. So it will look like that of a star, and this starfish belongs to the phylum Echinodermata, and it lives in oceans, at the bottom of the ocean, and they are flat, and these are multicellular organisms. This is a starfish. It belongs to the phylum Echinodermata, and it is a amoeba, and it is a paramecium. I told you amoeba has no shape, and it lives in pond water. It lives in water. It is an aquatic organism, and it is having only one cell. Only one cell is there. Only one cell, and at the center we can see the presence of nucleus. It is having nuclear membrane. It is a eukaryote, not a prokaryote. It is having food vacuoles also present here. Small food vacuoles are present, and this is called as cytoplasm. This is called cytoplasm, and the body is filled with cytoplasm, not protoplasm. And here you see, this is the extension of cytoplasm, and this extension of cytoplasm, they make the animal to move in the water, and these are called as pseudopodia, or false food, and these false food or pseudopodia helpful in move to perform movement in water. So that is the reason they are called as locomotory organ. They are also helpful to capture the food. So here only one cell is present. This organism is called as a unicellular organism, and locomotion is by means of pseudopodia. And this is another organism. It also belongs to phylum Protozoa. This is called as paramecium. It is having a shape, shoe-like shape, shoe animalcule, and it is having many cilia. All these are cilia, and these cilia are useful for to perform movement in water. It is also a water animal. It lives in water, and here you can see the presence of macronucleus, also micronucleus. Large one is present, small one is present, micronucleus. It consists of oral groove, anal pore, contractile vacuoles, cilia, cytoplasm, and this organism is also having cytoplasm, and other cell organelles are there. It is a eukaryote, consists of macronucleus and a micronucleus, surrounded by nuclear membrane, and it is having only cell. It is also an example for unicellular. It moves in the water by means of cilia. So cilia are the locomotor organ. Paramecium is a single cell built in such a way that it is perform all vital activities. It is performing nutrition, respiration, transportation, and reproduction. Many life processes are performed by this single cell organism, and they belong to the phylum Protozoa, and they are unicellular organism. Example, amoeba and paramecium. So we clearly discuss what are unicellular organism, and we need to discuss about what are multicellular. I told you. So this is a starfish, and it is having what? Arm-like structure, and look like that of a star, and it belongs to the phylum Echinodermata. So it lives in water, and it is having many cells. So many cells are present, and these cells are form an organ, and they perform different life process. There you see organs that are made up of more than one cell, and they are called a multicellular, and they are performing different function. Complex organ system is present in case of multicellular organism. Each and every organ is performing its own function in case of multicellular organism. Children, here we discuss what are unicellular organism and also what are multicellular organism. Here we need to understand about types of cells. I told you there are two types of cells are there. So one type of cells are called as prokaryotic cell, and another type of cell is called as eukaryotic cell. A prokaryotic cell is a cell, example bacteria and also blue-green algae. They consist of protoplasm but not cytoplasm, and they consist of nuclear material, but it is not covered by nuclear membrane. And nucleoplasm is floating in the protoplasm, and cell organelles are present, but they are not having what? A membrane. So that is the structure that we observe in case of prokaryotes, and that nucleus is not surrounded by nuclear membrane, and cell organelles are present, but they are also not having what? Cell membrane. So it is a primitive one, example bacteria and also blue-green algae. And next eukaryote. So eukaryote, this is the bacteria, and it consists of nuclear material only. So this is a bacteria. It consists of what flagellum. It is useful to move in air, also water. And here this is called as the prokaryote, and it is not having nuclear membrane and only nuclear material present. So that is the reason this bacterial cell is called as a prokaryote, primitive one. And this is eukaryote. You see, eukaryotic cell is having a clear cut, a definite nucleus, and it is having what? Nuclear membrane. A nuclear membrane is present, and this is the fluid. That fluid is called as jelly-like substance that is present in a cell. That is called as cytoplasm. There you see mitochondria is a cell organelle, and this fluid material called as cytoplasm. Golgi complex is present, nucleus is present, centriole, cell membrane, endoplasmic reticulum, and ribosome, like that, lysosome, like that. Many cell organelles are present in eukaryotic cell, and all these cell organelles are surrounded by, means they are having boundaries, and they are covered by what? Membranes. So membrane bound cell organelles are present in a cell, and nucleus is having nuclear membrane, and it is enclosing nucleoplasm, and nucleoplasm is separated from the cytoplasm, and that is the structure that we observed in case of eukaryote. So this is eukaryote. Children, we discussed the difference between prokaryotic cell and also eukaryotic cell. Now we need to discuss about in-text question. So here you see there are 6 questions are there, and all questions are easy to write answers. Why? Because we discuss clearly the information that is given in this chapter. So it is very easy to write answer. So what is defined cell? Defined cell. A cell is called as a structural and functional unit of living organism. Unicellular organism only one cell, and multicellular organism many cells, and it is performing all life process. So that is called as a cell. Cell is the basic structure units, and it is called as structural and functional units of living organism. That is about definition of a cell. And what gives rise to a new cells? So cell theory was proposed by Schleider and Schwann. According to them, that theory, cells are arising, new cells are arising from pre-existing cell. So that is the answer you need to write. How does a microscope help in viewing tiny objects? So this is a compound microscope, and this is having what? Objective lenses, and if you place a small organism on the slide, so these lenses can be magnify that is objective and image more than 1000 times, thereby we can see that image, and also in a larger structure. So that is the use of microscope. What is the shape of amoeba? Amoeba is a protozoan. It is not having shape, and it is irregular shape, and it is changing its shape from time to time by producing extension of cytoplasm. They form as pseudopodia. And is the size of body of organism depend on the size of the individual cells in the body? No. Large animal like elephant, and small one is the small animals. So these are the animals, and these animals are having same, that is type of cells. So large animals are having nerve cells, and the same type of nerve cells also present in human beings, also other animals, and based on their the size, the animal size is not depend. So here all living organisms are having cells, and not the animal is not based on their that is the shape of the cell, but cells are present in all living organisms. So the size of the body is not depend on the size of the cells. And define nucleoid. So nucleoid is a structure that generally observed in case of bacteria, and that is called a nucleoid because of it is not covered by nuclear membrane. Children, in this unit, we discuss cell, the basic unit of life. So what are cells, and what are the cell organelles present in a cell, and we discuss cell theory, and we also did an activity. We observed, we examined, so what is a plant cell and what is a animal cell. and we also discuss different types of cells and shapes of cells, and also we discuss the difference between prokaryote cells and eukaryote cells, and also we discuss the in-text questions, and so we clearly we clearly understand the concept that are given in this chapter, cell the basic unit of life. Thank you, children.